It's time to get educated on your Second Amendment rights. Welcome to 2 full hours of Gun Owners Radio. Your hosts Dave Stahl, Joe Germisi, and Michael Schwartz will teach you about firearms, self-defense, and the laws that affect your rights to keep and bear arms. Visit gunownersradio.com with questions to learn how to become a sponsor of Gun Owners Radio and get involved. Together, we will win. Now here's your hosts, Dave Stahl, Joe Germisi, and Michael Schwartz on The Answer San Diego.
All right, folks, welcome back to Gun Owners Radio, FM 96.1 AM 1170.
The Answer.
Hey, if you have legal matters that involve firearms, then you need to call our attorney, John Dillon. If you have questions about red flag laws, gun registration, gun transportation, or maybe you just need to know that your guns are California compliant, call our trusted firearm attorney, John Dillon. John Dillon specializes in California gun laws. 760-642-7150. Or you can just visit his website at dillonlawgp.com. All right.
What's up, Dave?
Just kicking chickens.
There you go.
Got down to El Cajon Ford, crawled up into Gravedigger.
Oh, really?
Wasn't easy.
Gravedigger.
Yeah, I know. And that's where Action Jackson is as we speak.
He is. We had a whole long conversation about Gravedigger yesterday.
He's a fanatic. He figured out how to. He's with Dennis Anderson's kid, got his picture taken, and he got Chase dog decal on the side of
Gravedigger?
Yeah, on the side of Gravedigger.
That's awesome.
So he's down there. He's just like a little kid in a candy store.
Well, quite literally.
Quite literally.
Quite literally.
Yeah, so he's it's going hot and heavy as we speak. So we won't see him today.
No, he's out watching Gravedigger. I was talking to him yesterday. We had the grand opening.
Is that your new adopted son?
Well,
it's
more
a
like
son you never had.
I look at him as a protege.
He do kind of look alike. He looks like a miniature you, except you don't wear glasses.
I'm not that good looking. No,
I was thinking Kid Rock had a protege like that.
Yeah. He's like my little, what was that guy's name?
I don't know. I remember seeing the live performance of something that they did on stage. And
if you're listening, you can remember
good.
that little guy that Kid Rock used to have around. Text us or something.
Yeah, but I was thinking
the
the
same.
same.
It was Joe C.
Yeah, he's my little Joe C. That's awesome.
That is so funny. Yeah.
No, he came to the grand opening of American Shooters in El Cajon.
Mm-hmm.
We were there, so he was there. It was kind of cool. We were sitting there talking and chatting and whatever. Chase was there, and everybody was having a good time.
Have a good turnout?
Very good turnout. Very good turnout. It was pretty full for most of the day.
Mm-hmm.
People got some great prices, some great
deals.
We're having our meeting there on Tuesday. San Diego County Gun Owners is having our meeting there on Tuesday, by the way. That's one of our monthly meetings. That's our East/Central monthly meeting on Tuesday night. So if you missed the grand opening on Saturday, come on down Tuesday.
Can you still get good deals?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Big
Okay.
time. They're having this. They're going to have a sale for a while. But we're sitting there, and somebody came up, stranger. None of us had ever met him before. And said, "Oh, you're Action Jackson. Say the answer." And so he got to, say
The answer.
Yeah.
He's so cute.
So it was fun.
Yeah.
It was cool.
Well, that's good that we got another good gun shop in town.
Yeah, and we have the winner of the 2 boxes of ammo. We had a Gun Owners Radio giveaway for American Shooters, and they get 2 free boxes of ammo for I'm not sure what they did, but do we have a drum roll? Richard Hartman.
Mm-hmm.
Congratulations. You won the ammo, and I'm not sure what, Richard, I don't know how to tell you to collect the ammo. But if you get a hold of Gun Owners Radio, we'll figure it out. We'll get you 2 boxes of ammo. Congratulations. It was nice seeing you down there. Appreciate you coming out. Fantastic job done by all. There was all kinds of pizza and guns and ammo, and it was fun. A couple things happened, so we wanted to just touch on. The county of San Diego. The county of San Diego implemented 2 new regulations. One part of the regulation is all the same thing, but one part of the regulation is you can't buy 80% lowers unless they're serialized. Is basically what it is. It's in essence a ban on your ability to do a home manufactured firearm.
Right.
They're billing it as a ghost gun. thing, but it has absolutely nothing to do with ghost guns. A ghost gun is a term for an unserialized gun. It has no serial number. That's what a ghost gun is. Well, but you have to have a serial number.
But if you buy the kit, it doesn't come with a serial number.
Right. Well, because it's raw material. Because you're buying raw material, you're not buying a gun.
So if you can't
buy the kit
with a serial
without
number,
a serial
how
number,
you got to put a serial number on it after you build it?
Yeah, and let me tell you how much they care about that important detail. Zip.
Well, it's the microstamp approach, right? It's the same thing.
Yeah.
You got to have this, but you can't get this.
Yeah, I was talking to a Union Tribune reporter, and she liked my analogy. It'd be like if the state of California said, "Yeah, you can sell any car you want in California as long as it flies."
Yeah, and that's it in a nutshell.
Yeah. Well, we don't have flying cars, so you
Not
can't.
yet.
Not yet. I like your positive attitude, Dave.
Not yet. We're working on it. Well, yeah, it is what it is. I mean, it's this next year to 2 years is just going to be insane.
I think it's going to be pretty brutal. I think that the Board of Supervisors has proven that they're very comfortable being as extreme as they possibly can.
Right.
There's no case to be made that the change of leadership in the County Board of Supervisors is a reasonable change. They could have come in and said, "Hey, look, we're really going to make sure that we fill potholes and make sure that people have medical, emergency medical services, that sort of thing." Instead, they're doing things like banning manufacturing of guns, and they really truly are being extreme.
Nathan Fletcher's running right in November. Is that right for re-election?
Correct.
So I'm sure there's a plan. The other party must have a plan to address that and run somebody against.
What other party?
There's another party, isn't there?
Not that I'm aware of. Do you know of any other party? I don't know of any other party. Not anybody that's done anything.
Both parties are kind of equally as lame for different reasons, frankly.
Well, you heard about this group. I think they're in Northern Cal. They got sick and tired of the pothole issue, so they're like the pothole brigade. So they're going out and they're filling potholes. So the city didn't like it, said what you're using is illegal and it's not up to standards, so you have to stop filling potholes.
Which is it's the literal purpose of a city council is to fill potholes. That's exactly
all it's there
why
for.
A city council was developed 200 years ago.
Now, we're not going to fill them, but you're not either.
Right. So the other part of it is a storage regulation, which they copied the city. Both regulations were a copy of the city of San Diego. If you live now this only applies to the unincorporated areas. So this ban on home manufactured firearms, and
in Alpine, I can't do it.
Right. So only in the unincorporated areas. That doesn't apply to the 18 cities. It only applies to the unincorporated areas.
And the reason for that is
that because that's their jurisdiction. The county board of supervisors.
Oh, I see.
They can't make some kind of law like that affects like La Mesa or El Cajon.
So let's go pick on the other guys.
Well, it's just we're gonna ban. So now the plan is to try to work it city by city. So your city council is probably going to. They're probably trying to get your city council to pass these same.
I'll
things.
have a car designed to fly by next Thursday. You just wait.
So the storage law is you basically in your home, your gun, you can't you have to store your gun locked or inoperable unless you're touching it.
In the freezer.
You put it in the freezer. Well, I don't even know. Well, so it's
Your
so
freezer
vague.
has to lock, right?
Yeah,
I have a lock on my freezer.
First off, that's kind of weird.
I have dogs.
Oh, all right, that makes sense. So this is the unincorporated area. So once this law, and I think it's 30 days, this thing goes into effect. If you're in the unincorporated areas of the county, you have to store your firearms locked or inoperable unless you're actually touching it. Let that sink in for a second.
I'm just going to strap them all on me then. It'll be walking around, clinkety clank, clinkety clank.
But how much does that? You think that represents Ramona? You think people in Ramona are going, "Hey, great"?
Oh, Ramona will do that in a heartbeat. Are you kidding? I can hear him clanking now.
Yeah. So there you go.
Well,
John Majillo, better known as the Mil-Spec Mojo, is next.
But first, self-defense and emergencies can happen to anyone, and there's no guarantee that the justice system will be on your side. Make sure you are protected for the legal battle after your self-defense battle. While you protect your family and property, U.S. Law Shield is here to defend you 24/7, 365 days a year with a comprehensive self-defense coverage at an affordable price. Bad guys don't take days off, and neither does our coverage. Listeners, you can get a free t-shirt when you use the code GUNOWNERSRADIO. Sign up today. Go to uslawshield.com.
All right, so right now we should have Don Majillo on. Is that how you say his name?
That's how I'm saying it.
Don Majillo. You know how we would know how to if the best way we I guess would find out how to pronounce his name would be if he were on the phone, but for whatever reason he hasn't called in yet. So
I thought you were going to ask Siri to do it, but then the Siri on my phone though calls El Cajon EI Cajon, so that's what I get on my map. So can't depend on that.
And I would forget Cuyamaca. Don't even try Cuyamaca. So Don is a what do you know about Don, Joe?
I don't just from what I saw. I went on his YouTube channel and got a lot of shooting stuff on there. He looks like he's pretty good. I noticed that with a handgun, but I think it said he was former DoD law enforcement. It looked like that. There was a lot of different videos, a lot of different ranges.
So, but his big thing is he's got a YouTube channel.
Yeah, seems like it because that's what kept coming up. So in my limited research, that's what I found.
What do you think about that in general? There seems to and honestly, the person that introduced me to all these influencers, which is the term, was Rich. He was the one when he started producing the show. He said, "Hey, have you heard of this guy? Have you heard of that guy? Have you seen this person? Have you checked out this channel?" And the only one I was really familiar with was John Correa.
Yeah.
And then, there's a whole world of gun content out there.
There is, and there's a lot of people apparently that look at that. Like when I was looking at this, the Milspec Mojo site, I think there was 117,000 followers, and I'm not sure if when Don shows up, we'll ask how long he's been at it with this stuff. But the content was interesting, and I think it's good to see that kind of stuff up there. I mean, it's the internet, so the internet's the internet. So I mean, there's goobers up there doing all sorts of goofy things too, but there's a lot of quality stuff, just from the stuff I've seen. And
that's what I'm impressed with is that because you're right, every idiot's got a platform now. That's kind of the downside of the internet, right? Every idiot's got a platform.
Yeah.
If I had to sum up the problem with the internet in one sentence, it would be every idiot's got a platform.
Yeah, and they were always out there. You just didn't see them.
Yeah, they didn't have a platform.
Yeah.
So I'm really, frankly, very impressed with the high quality. There's a lot of industries, right? There's fashion people have taken to YouTube and they have channels. There's cooking and like you name it, right? Everybody's got every industry has a presence on YouTube and off-roaders and whatever. The quality of gun folks, I think, is really, really high. The information you can get out there for free on YouTube is actually amazing.
No, and there was stuff, too. Like I was telling you last week, I just bought a Savage 110 and 6.5 Creedmoor and a precision rifle. And I was looking, and I've got a scope at home to put on it. But I was looking for the mounting rails, and I was watching, I was looking for reviews on that on YouTube on the gun. And I was watching one that was a pretty good review, but the guy had mentioned, he said, when you get the rail to mount your scope on this, he said, don't get the Savage 110 rail because he said in the 6.5 Creedmoor, that's considered like a short stroke thing. So the mounting holes for the rail is different. You need to get the Savage 10 rail. So had I not watched that video, I'd have probably ordered the other one, and I'd have had I'd have had a problem with that.
It would have gone off the rails. Your project would have gone off the rails. All right, well, Don's here. Why don't you introduce Don?
All right,
hey guys.
Don, you're here.
Sorry, yeah, how's it going? Sorry, guys. Definitely had some crappy signal where I'm at right now, but I'm super excited for the interview. How you guys doing today?
We're doing great here. You could actually ask us stuff, I guess, huh? So it's good. Glad you're here, Don. Where are you at anyway? Because I was watching your videos, and you have like weather.
Training. Yeah, no, I'm currently doing some training over here at the Las Vegas range for the PD, and we're just having a good old time shooting some drills and learning.
Okay, great. So
yes, it's a perfect time. So this is awesome. Like I'm in the mode of training. I'm in the mentality of training. So this is actually really perfect.
Okay, great. Where are you located at normally when you're not traveling around training? Are you in the Vegas area?
No, I'm not in the Vegas area. I'm from Washington State.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's I was wondering because I thought I saw looking at some of your videos. There was rain, there was snow. I thought, wow, he's from somewhere else
with weather, somewhere with weather.
I mean, Washington. The weather in Washington's definitely in to say the very least. Actually in Washington. I definitely equate that to, that's my reasons for being shooter, is because I'm so always forced to be in so many different climates. So it's cold, it's wet, it's hot, it's warm.
All right.
And your cell coverage is not good.
You're going in and out. You're going in and out, Don. You may have to kind of bear with us, and we may ask you to repeat about 10 times.
Right now.
Ugh. Don, it's way bad, dude. Yeah, it's way bad. Is there any if you have any other connection, if you could call in with any other connection, that'd be awesome.
I'm literally I'm on top of the side of a mountain right now, so I thought the signal would be good here, but I guess not.
Stand right where you're at.
There you go. Don't move. We heard that whole thing.
I'm not moving. I'm not moving.
So, Don, what is it you say you do here? Describe what it is you do for a living.
I'm a police officer full time. I'm a state of Washington. Love my job, love serving a community and being a protector of the constitutional rights of Americans. Like, I love that to death. And I'm one of those, I guess there's a lot of good cops out there, but I like to put myself decently in that category of being a server and a protector of people. And I love that job. And then on the side, I'm an instructor. I'm what they call a social media influencer. I don't like the word influencer, but it gets used and thrown around quite a bit in that aspect. And I get an amazing opportunity and privilege to be able to represent a lot of different companies and test out the equipment and just spread the word of the companies that support me and I support. It's been an amazing so far. I started this in 2014 when I got out of active duty in the Marine Corps, and I was injured on deployment in Afghanistan. And for me to get back to my dexterity, learning to do a bunch of different things with my hands again, it was shooting. And shooting got me to where I am today. It's like I could grip magazines, I could feel the weapon system, and just overall just dexterity in general, because I lacked that. I was blown up by a 600-pound vehicle-borne IED in Helmand Province in 2014, and it sent me to a ringer, and I was injured pretty bad. So then now it's like nothing ever happened again. It's amazing. So the shooting did that for me. Firearms did that for me.
And I'll tell you, and that's right too. From watching you shoot just on the videos, you would never know you ever had any problem like that. Where did Don? Where did the Mil-Spec Mojo name come from? And for listeners that haven't discovered you yet, can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, Mil-Spec Mojo came from the idea of doing decently fast and efficient things with a mil-spec weapon system, something that you don't just something you buy over the counter, something that anyone has the potential to buy without having to spend $3,000 on a gun. So I was taking a mil-spec trigger and I was shooting it like it was a $600 trigger. I was shooting really quickly, fast, effectively. I wasn't putting mag wells on the guns, wasn't doing anything too crazy, and it turned out to work in my favor, work out very well, and it was amazing. And that came from that, and then the Mojo came from deployment. If you guys were familiar with the Mojo Jojo, the angry monkey from Powerpuff Girls.
Okay.
That was me. I was the angry little monkey on deployment. So then they all had a problem pronouncing my last name of Majillo, so they just say Mojo. So that's where it came from.
Okay, I like that. That's a good explanation there. For I was watching too some of your videos there, and did you have I'm guessing you've done competitive shooting? Because I was wondering, you don't usually get that quick and that fast with a military or law enforcement background, at least by itself.
That's the idea behind it. I'm trying to change it. I've never shot competitively before. Never. Never did any kind of USPSA, IPA. Oh, ago at the old range that I went to, there was a bunch of guys that put me to the IPA thing where I C-zone stuff. And I did that. That was in 2014, but I never shot competitively ever.
Okay.
I definitely appreciate the competition.
Yeah, that was
law enforcement.
Well, like I said, it was interesting watching some of the videos, just the way you handled the the handguns and the long guns too. And it was interesting because shooting competitively, I see a lot of the really high end, the masters, the grandmaster type shooters that we see in USPSA look a lot like that. I mean, that's how they shoot when they're shooting. So it was fun watching those things. The other thing too, I noticed on your videos that I thought was really impressive is you guys look like you're having a lot of fun.
Can you say again? You broke up there, that last part.
Yeah, with your watching your videos, it looks like you guys are having a ball, just a lot of fun doing that. And that it's one of the things that's a little bit frustrating with the anti-gun people that we see out here, is that they really don't have an understanding, I don't think, of how much fun these firearms things, can be. I mean, they focus on how criminals use firearms, and they focus on blaming that on everything else. But watching your videos, I watched your it was, I think, the review of 2021 or something like that.
Oh man, I'm so glad you noticed that. So I have a lot of anti-gun friends living in Washington, but I show them the principles behind it. And the one thing I always preface with them, obviously they're like, the gun's used to kill people. I'm like, no, it's made to preserve life. It's just like law enforcement. The idea of a weapon system is not necessarily to take a life, it's to preserve life. And if we need to, in the process, if it involves you, and then that so be it. I tell people this all the time. It's one of the things that always stuck in my head. I always say, you all listening and you guys there, like on the microphones, have worked really hard for what you've accomplished in your life. You guys have, you lived however many years to get to where you are today, which is successful, regardless of if you don't think it's successful or it's not. But you worked really hard to get there. It takes someone that doesn't give a crap about you or your family to take that away from you in a matter of a second. So you put yourself in a position to where it's like, hey, like I'm preserving life. I'm preserving my family's life and my legacy by carrying this firearm. But then the other coin of it, like you were talking about, like just fun. Man, firearms is fun. It's a skill, just like playing guitar, just like driving cars, just like racing, just like anything you do. It's just a hobby. It's like bow and arrow. It's like archery. It's like hunting. There's so many different hobbies out there, and a lot of people definitely jive with the principles of firearms. And it doesn't have to be obvious. And with that being said, there is a lot of other safety precautions that come with it. But at the same time, it's one of those things where I guess for the most part, it could be fun. And as long as you have a good crowd of people that are safe and you have people that you love, man, it's going to be a blast. And you're just going to have fun doing it.
All right, folks, welcome back. You're listening to Gun Owners Radio. FM 96.1, AM 1170.
The answer.
I'm going to let her do it next time.
Oh, we should have done that. All right, try it one more time. Go.
All right. Gun Owners Radio, FM 96.1, AM 1170.
The answer.
Wow, that's nice.
Man, I tell you. Action Jackson
just lost his job, didn't he?
Just lost his job. Hey, does selling your home feel overwhelming? Well, it doesn't have to be that way with Scott Vincent from Coldwell Banker Royal Realty. Scott Vincent is the perfect guide to help you sell or buy your home. Scott has been a San Diego County gun owner, board member from start. So if you're moving, let fellow Second Amendment supporter and real estate broker Scott Vincent help you sell your home and find your new home anywhere in the U.S. Call him today at 619-948-2459. Tell him you heard about it on Gun Owners Radio. That's Scott at 619-948-2459 or online at scottvincent.com. So, Don, how high of a mountain are you on? Because you seem to be cutting a little in and out on your phone.
Yeah, it's probably, I could see all of Las Vegas Strip. That's why I was like, oh, I should be fine out here. And then all of a sudden I was like, oh, wait, like, I'm not getting the calls coming in. I tried calling back like once or twice, and then it never went through. And I'm like, well, this was a bad choice to be out here.
Yeah, but you sound good now.
Well, who's on your YouTube channel?
I'm literally not moving. I found like the phone is about 2 inches from my face.
Okay.
And
you're good. Let's just keep rolling.
I was like, this is perfect.
So right. Who's your favorite person to collaborate with when you're on YouTube? Because I know you do a lot of collaboration with people.
I have no one person. They're all my friends, man. Like these are all friends of mine, and I just enjoy being around my friends. But Grand Thumb's been awesome. I'm with my buddy Ryan. He's a full-time SWAT guy here.
Grand Thumb?
I do stuff with him.
You like that dude?
Grand Thumb, Mike. He's good people. He lives about an hour from me.
I was going to say he's in the same neck of the woods, right? He's right up there in Washington State with you.
He's a big reason why my account blew up. So I did a video with him, and people are like, "This kid can shoot." I'm like, "Hi, that's Mojo. Hi," and it worked out really well.
That's cool. Who, if you could collaborate with anybody, who's on your to-do list?
Honestly, I don't really have anyone right now, and that I could think of. It's just I don't know. Like I don't really like focus on the collaboration.
You couldn't have said Mike Schwartz from Gun Owners Radio there. You couldn't have filled in.
I mean, I could say that right now, but then it looks like you guys are like, coercing me, and I want people to think that. I mean, like, come on now.
How about Action Jackson?
I might be in your guys' neck of the woods soon, though, so we'll see.
Hey, we got an 8-year-old. Yeah. We got an 8-year-old that would really run you up the old flagpole, my friend.
Yeah, he's out. He's watching Gravedigger today. He's at the
stadium
monster truck. So, but we have an 8-year-old co-host on the radio show, and he shoots every Wednesday.
Glock.
Yeah, Glock. I forget which
That's
one.
cool as hell. 9mm Glock?
Yeah, 9mm. I forget which model. Which model did he shoot?
I don't remember.
Remember?
Yeah, I don't remember what he shoots.
It's the one you can't. One of the ones you can't get in California.
And what's that other gun that he shoots that's a little on the strange side?
I don't remember.
And that's not legal in California either.
Yeah, you know what I think.
See, when you need him, he's not here.
I know. Just when.
Anyway,
Anyway,
how long have we had him on and we have not remembered? Oh, this is not good. We don't pay
I
attention.
know, right? So, are you going to SHOT this year? Did we talk about that?
Yeah, that's why I'm here. That's why I'm here at Vegas. We're recording some content, doing some training with another police officer, getting some videos to out there to try to hopefully educate some law enforcement officers that watch the channel and just everybody. It's not just for cops, but it's for everybody, and really digging into the mindset and principles of, weapon manipulation and different things. So we're out here doing some content stuff, and I came out early because I enjoyed just hanging out with my friends. Like when it comes time for SHOT Show, I only go to the show Tuesday and I never show up again. I just hanging out with my friends the rest of the day.
Really? What do you like about SHOT Show? What do you get done there? Well, I guess you're only going there on Tuesday.
Honestly, I get to give hugs to the companies that support me throughout the year. I get to finally put faces to the names. Hang out with my friends, have dinner, and it mainly, honestly, just like everything with the shooting, it's about the friendships that I've made. I've made some phenomenal friendships and long-lasting life friendships with a lot of these people that I've met in this gun industry. Their dads, parents, cops, firefighters, your software developer. Everyone's into guns, so all these the firearms are just a bridge to bring us all together.
Well, right before you called, right before you called in, we were talking about how on the YouTube channels have really brought everybody together. They've really kind of created a community where I don't think that there really was a gun community prior, unless you count Soldier of Fortune magazine subscriptions.
Man.
but it wasn't until the internet and you started with the influencers, the YouTubers, and everything. There really, really, truly is a Second Amendment culture, a gun culture, and I think it's been really great for the industry in general, and you're a big part of that.
I appreciate it. It's amazing, and it's very humbling to be cooped in with this the growth of this industry, and I do genuinely appreciate that. I don't think I am. I'm just a dude that loves shooting guns, and I love spreading the knowledge and just having fun with my friends, and that's been the big priority. But literally, YouTube was the bridge for a lot of people to see that they're not alone. Like the guys that love shooting and target shooting and training in kit and all this other stuff, like it was the venue for them to see, like, hey, there's other people like me, and I can make friends, and I can, I don't have to feel weird about it, because there's others like me. So it's amazing. I loved it for that reason alone as well.
And we were saying that, the downside of the internet is that every moron now has a platform, which is, that's the downside. Danielle's shaking her head. Yeah. She's seen a few morons with platforms. But that's the downside. But the gun industry, I think it's really been a lot of quality. I think there's a lot of high quality information out there. I don't think there's there's the occasional Yahoo, but I think in general the people that are doing it right. Do you agree? You think generally you're getting a lot of good information for free?
I absolutely do. Right now, there's a lot of different ways to skin a cat. There's a lot of different ways to walk from the sidewalk to your mailbox. And everyone has their own different avenues. And it's, I think, honestly, having the differences of opinions is probably one of the better things about the gun community, as long as it's done cordially, of course. But realistically speaking, it's like not everyone's built the same. Not everyone is built has the same arm length and whatever. So when you have those different approaches, it gives more avenues for people to understand, like, there are people exactly like me. Like, I'm a right-handed guy. There are left-handed dudes out there in the industry. There are dudes that run ambi guns or not ambi guns. It's just, regardless of what the industry is, it's like there is good and bad everywhere, but you have to find the good in it, and that's what makes it successful. Is if you have the mentality to look at the good things about it, it'll only be good. There's negative anywhere you go. There's negative at the supermarket. You know what I mean? It's like it's always going to be there.
Who don't you like? No, I'm not going to make you answer that question.
There's not anyone I don't like. There's people that I disagree with for sure in this industry, without a doubt. Just
that's the right
different
answer.
Backgrounds, different training mentalities, but I love everybody, man. Like everyone that I've met in real life has been really good to me. High fives, hugs all around.
Honestly, so we've never talked before this interview, but you sound like the kind of guy that would just gets along with everybody. You sound like the kind of dude that people just generally enjoy being around.
I appreciate that.
But
I genuinely, I'm a 5-year-old. I act like a 5-year-old unless like I'm at work and I have to act professional in my police car and stuff like that. But I'm literally a child.
Doesn't he kind of sound like a guy you just want to hug? Like we all just want to hug you.
No.
I appreciate that. I love hugs, man. Like, come on.
I seen your picture. You're not that cute.
So your law enforcement, how does that, your general demeanor and everything, being a self-described 5-year-old, how does that help or hurt when you're law enforcement?
Oh, a lot of cops have this like really like heavy set mentality, like I'm a Billy Badass, whatever. I approach it like the way I talk to my suspects is how I talk to my friends. I'm like, hey, bro, like, do you understand what you did was wrong? I'm like, yeah, I get it. I'm like, do you understand why I'm here? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, all right, bro, I'm gonna have to put these shiny little things on you if you get what I'm coming at. I'm like, yeah, dude, absolutely. And I talk to them like human beings. I talk to them like a dude, just like I talk to my friends.
And then do you give them a hug after you arrest them?
I mean, I have given suspects hugs when they cry, and I genuinely feel bad for them. And they're just like, I messed up. I'm never gonna see my kids again, and they're crying. I'm like, dude, like I'll give you a fucking hug if you want one.
You make them cry. You shouldn't make them.
Yeah, remember we're on radio, by the way. Just. Yeah. We think we just had to hit the dump button.
Yeah, he missed it. He's not even in there.
So that's awesome. Seriously, that sounds very, very cool. Let's talk about activism. Is there, you do a lot of education, SHOT Show, big in the industry. What are some of the things you do directly? What do you think about activism in general? How are you active in activism?
I'm not really active in it because I do hold a position of law enforcement. Yeah. I do represent a law enforcement agency. Even if I try to deny that these views are different than my agencies, it could still bite me in the butt. I try my best to educate others off the internet and others, especially on the streets as it pertains to your Second Amendment rights. And again, I'm a big believer in the Constitution and the rights that were given to us by our founding fathers. Like your First Amendment is as equally as important as your Second, your Fourth Amendment, your Fifth Amendment, your Sixth Amendment, all that stuff. And I'm a big believer in that. At my old agency, not the agency I currently worked at, I have denied and not done certain things because it was against in my beliefs as a person that believes in the Constitution. I won't go any more into detail about that, but I am a very big believer in our rights as American citizens, and I do that every day when I go to work. I make sure I fight for people's rights that are on the streets and the citizens of the community, regardless if they're right wing or left wing. I will fight for your rights.
When you did that, when you did say, hey, this isn't something I'm comfortable doing, or pushed back, however you pushed back, did you get support? How was the reaction?
I got support from the officers, but from administration, it wasn't good. So wow. They slapped me on the wrist, a bunch of other small things. And at that point in time, whatever happened, I knew who was on my side, and I knew who were true supporters of our constitutional rights at my old agency. So that worked out pretty well for me. That's actually I got to see who the grass were.
I mean, it's a pretty common conversation among non-law enforcement gun guys. How pro 2A is law enforcement? And I know that's trying to describe an entire. I mean, an industry with tens of thousands of people. Everybody's got their own opinions, and there's obviously a spectrum of opinions. But in your experience, do you generally feel that the law enforcement officers that you've been around are generally pro 2A, or do they just kind of look at guns as, hey, this is another tool on the tool belt?
Well, just like a lot of guys, they understand the rights. Just like I like firearms, but my partner loves jiu-jitsu. He's not a big gun guy, but he loves jiu-jitsu, and that's his thing. I do a little bit of martial arts here and there. I do work out and all that fun stuff, but my thing is firearms. I love firearms. But I'll be honest with you, 99.9% of police officers that I've met, maybe it's because I'm in this industry, they are all believer in the Second Amendment and firearms. And it's just like one of those things where it's like, people ask us the question all the time is like, would you enforce unconstitutional gun laws? And I'm like, I will not answer that in a public venue. I won't ever answer that in public, but I'm sure based on where I stand and you guys hearing me talk and the position that I hold, I guess you guys could make 1 + 1 = 2 there. You know what I mean? That's what I always tell people, just because I don't want to, again, put myself in hot water for my current agency and all this other stuff. But most of the cops that I've met are on the same boat as me.
That's awesome, 100%. Man. That's a very, very cool answer, and I think we're all reading between the lines, and that's very, very cool of you.
Absolutely. I'm glad you guys do. Heck yes.
So we have like 30 seconds left. Tell everybody, what do you want people to get out of your interview, and where can they find more of you?
You guys can find me YouTube, Instagram, Mil-Spec Mojo, but I want you guys – encourage your friends that aren't familiar with firearms to get out there and just educate them. Show them what it's done for you as a family, as an American, and have them exercise their rights. Everyone exercises their First Amendment rights every day. Why can't it be the Second Amendment either? I just want everyone to be safe. You guys take care, and I thank you guys for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, get off the mountain, will you?
Mil-Spec Mojo.
The casinos are down the road a ways.
If he's on the mountain, does that mean Mojo's rising? That's the best I can do.
I like that.
That's the best.
What happened, Brendan? You missed a perfect opportunity. The board op of the year. Oh, well. All right. Take care, son. By the way, folks, don't touch that dial. All right, folks, welcome back to Gun Owners Radio, FM 96.1, AM 1170.
The answer.
Okay. All right.
TBD.
The intro to this segment is to be determined. It was horrible.
Hey, your producer wrote
Oh, you didn't remember that from yesterday? I just told you.
Did you? What was it? Oh, it was...
See?
Think Charlton Heston, Moses.
Stay tuned for a blog from Joe on... what was it?
Charlton Heston.
On Charlton Heston. We'll see. Got to wait and see. What was it? I know we did talk about
Exodus.
it. Oh, that's right. The exodus. The mass exodus of gun owners from California.
Are you sure now?
I'm pretty sure.
Do you feel better now? You know, most companies waste a lot of money on marketing, and the reason why is because they don't have a clear message. You are wasting money on your website, your social media, your advertising, if you don't have a clear, easy-to-understand message. Sage Tree gets it, and since 2005, Sage Tree has been helping companies clarify their message and connect with customers. Contact them today and learn about their proven system to help you get a better return on your investment from your marketing dollar. So go to sagetree.com and learn a whole lot more. All right, Joe, TBD.
All right. So, the article this week is Exodus. So people leaving. And we've had a lot of people here, leaving California, but it's happening throughout the country, really. And a lot of the tendency seems to be people migrating from blue states to more of the traditional red states. And, I wanted to take a look at that and just kind of look at, okay, what does that actually mean? And then what's that mean for those of us that stay here, particularly gun owners, if people are leaving. And if you look at that, like California has lost, what was it? Over, I think 6 million left, 4 million came in, something like that. So we've had a net decrease. And this has been going on the last, at least the last 10 years, probably longer ago than that. But the last 2 years, I guess, have been, it's been much more accelerated, I guess, in the last 2 years. And, it's interesting because if you look at different places as to like who's leaving, for instance, and, I saw something from the, I can't remember what they were called, the California Policy Institute or something. It's supposed to be a nonpartisan think tank. Taking a look at this, and then I hadn't heard of them before, and I checked out their website, and I looked at the board of directors, and I saw Leon Podesta on the board of directors. So I'm thinking, okay, well, so much for nonpartisan.
Yeah, really.
But what they were, according to their study or one of their studies, it's interesting because they're saying that people generally leaving California. And this will sound familiar, where they said tend to be less educated. The ones who are leaving are less educated. Tend to not really be working, and things like that, which is how they describe another bunch of people that they disagree with. And it's interesting because, we all know people that have left here. I know a number of friends that have left California for different states, and, none of them fit that description at all. Now, granted, I'm going to be a little bit biased because a lot of the people I circulate with are going to be more conservative. But these are all working type people. They all have families. They're definitely not lower income type people or anything like that. And I suspect that there's a mix of people. It's because the argument sometimes that you'll hear is people are leaving these blue states and they're bringing their politics with them and they're ruining the other states. And there's probably some of that. It's hard to find really good information about that kind of stuff for probably a bunch of reasons. But generally, people are leaving places like California, New York, New Jersey, and they're ending up in places like Florida and Texas and Tennessee and Idaho and places like that. And it's interesting because, you could point to some places like Colorado as an example where they say, Colorado used to be a I don't know, maybe a leaning blue type state or kind of a battleground state, and now it's kind of considered a solid blue state. Whereas Arizona, on the other hand, was more, leaning red, say, or more conservative.
Solid red. It was a real solid red.
Yeah, and now, people call that a battleground state. So, so you can make that argument, pretty reasonably. But then there was an article, and I linked to it in my article, where they look at Florida. And Florida, in the last 10 months, the Republicans have picked up like 375,000 registrations in the last 10 months alone, and it's gone from slightly Democrat across the state. It was like something like 38% Democrat or something like that, to slightly Republican now. They picked up 61,000 just in Miami-Dade County. And so it's interesting. So that theory doesn't seem to fit for Florida. So I'm thinking that whole subject is a little more complicated maybe than people are making it out to be. Because, you have people leave here, I think, not so much for the politics. I think it's the results of the bad policies, because California is one of the most beautiful states. This is one of the nicest places you could live out here. Yet we have such a bad government that we have issues now with high crime, which has been getting worse, for years now. We're one of the highest taxed places around. Housing is almost impossible. If you're a young family, I mean, I don't know. I'm not a young family, and I don't know that I could buy a house here today. And, it's the results of the bad policies that are driving people out. And I think it drives out, conservatives and liberals alike, just for those reasons. So it's interesting, again, because does that make the argument that these, if you're left-leaning and you leave California, are you going to go to some place like Texas and then vote for the same kinds of politicians that created the environment that you had to leave in California? So there's arguments on both sides of that. And looking at what does that mean for those of us that stay? Because, a lot of people, leave or say they would leave. I see people every day that say they would leave. I say I would leave every day if I could. But for those of us that stay, what does that mean for us? And, personally, and I've been influenced by Michael a lot on this, but, okay, if you're going to stay, then stay and fight. Because one of the arguments, especially from our point of view, Second Amendment wise, a lot of bad things start in California and spread across the country. So where you're running to is something that Michael says a lot. And, and there's certain truth to that, for sure. And, but if I'm going to stay, I'm going to stay and fight. And, you look at how this exodus of people leaving, how does that impact those of us that are staying? And, is it that we're leaving or we're losing allies? Like I was saying, I know at least a half a dozen people that have left here, and they're all strong, pro Second Amendment conservative type people. So when people like that leave, and a number of them were active in our organization, that hurts us. It makes it a little bit harder for us. But on the other hand, there's people that are in the other direction that don't agree with the Second Amendment and things like that. So, okay, more of them leaving is a good thing.
Well, did you see where a lot of these people that are like, I think Florida was the state, they were coming to Florida and they were out-of-state license plates, and people were putting notes on their window stating, if you're going to come here, don't bring your yada, yada, yada.
Don't bring your California to my
so
Florida.
They're taking these people are taking those reports and turning them into the police to have those people arrested.
Yeah, and I could see that kind of stuff. There was, and I can't.
Did you hear that? Did you actually hear that?
I haven't seen that one, but I've heard similar things from Texas. I've heard similar things in Idaho.
But they turned them into the police for them to go and arrest these people.
Well, and that's what I was getting at. There was and I wish I could remember who this author was. I was reading an article, and this author had a theory about why, because you see people in urban areas tend to be more to the left, and they tend to be more that way. Than people in rural areas. And the theory that this author was putting forward was, he said, people that live in urban areas live very close to their neighbors. There's somebody living above them, right next door to them, across the street from them. And when those neighbors misbehave or do things that annoy you or upset you, there's a tendency to be thinking that, wow, there should be a rule. Somebody should enforce this. Somebody should do something. Whereas people that live in more rural areas, your neighbor's a mile down the street. Yeah, okay, they're partying. They got the music cranked up and everything, but I don't really hear it. It's not a big deal, and there's less of a tendency to think the government needs to step in, the police need to step in or something like that. So it's interesting. I wish I could remember that, because that's a reasonable theory about that, I think.
Relocation is the number one reason that people don't renew their membership to San Diego County Gun Owners. When we call and say, hey, it's time to renew your membership, wanted to know if we could help you out in renewing your membership, like literally well over 90% of the time, if they don't renew, it's because, I just moved. I moved to Arizona, I moved to Florida, I moved to wherever. And, I used to be really critical, and people didn't like that.
You used to be?
Well, I used to be really critical of that specifically, of people leaving California. And I don't know. I wasn't getting the desired effect. I was hoping that people would. It's a real polite way of
catch
saying
more flies with honey than vinegar.
That was a real polite way of saying people got mad at me.
Fine, you're kicked out of San Diego County Government.
But a couple months ago, during a podcast that you and I were on, Joe, together, we were talking, and I said, we stay and fight. We don't leave because we're Americans, and that's what Americans do. We don't pick up and leave. We fight. We change things. And I think that perspective was a little bit more friendly, but it is
palatable.
Yeah, and I get it. I get it. I get why people leave, and they don't just leave because of guns. They leave because of quality of life, and they leave because they're family or whatever. And I get that. But man, I wish a lot more people would make the decision to move into California, solve this problem, once and for all.
They don't see the light at the end of the tunnel
Well,
you do.
Yeah, but there's different things too, and this is all political, and politics swing back and forth all the time. I mean, California wasn't always goofed up. Texas wasn't always red. Texas was blue. Remember Ann Richards, LBJ, all those people? So this stuff goes back and forth, but it may take 20 years to fix this out there.
Oh, 20 years.
So do you have 20?
No.
But anyway, the article is Exodus. You can find it on getagrip.substack.com, and you can find it on our San Diego County Gun Owners website. Tomorrow morning is when all that stuff will be.
All right, folks, welcome to Gun Owners Radio, FM 96.1, AM 1170.
The answer.
So what happens when vegan culture and gun culture collide? Find out next with Vegan Danielle.
But first, primeres.com/Alpine. That's PRMI Mortgage. Are you in the military? You looking for help for a VA loan? You're looking to buy or refi, or if you're just considering a reverse mortgage, call our local mortgage guy that you can trust. Call Chris Wiley at PRMI Mortgage. For nearly 25 years, Chris has been helping local San Diegans with all their mortgage needs. Call Chris Wiley at 619-722-1303 or just go to primeres.com/Alpine.
So about a year ago, somebody reached out to San Diego County Gun Owners, and in the process, who was very pro-gun, in the process found out that she had a very strong following because of basically spreading the word of veganism. And I thought, well, that's pretty unique. So I got to talking to Danielle, and it turns out she's very pro-Second Amendment and very, very vegan. Right?
Yeah, it's not a very common combination either.
How long have you been this way?
This way. I was not born this way. A lot of people ask me that. 2015 after a cancer scare, actually. Yeah, the vegan part.
Right. Not the guns.
The gun part, I grew up in the desert, so it's kind of common,
Interesting.
So talk a little bit about being vegan. What exactly does it mean to be vegan?
Where do I get my protein? That's the biggest question.
Yeah.
So being vegan literally means I don't eat or use any animal products. So it's not just limited to the diet. I don't buy fur. I will say
you
that
don't eat anything that smiles back.
Right. Or the secretions of those animals.
I have to say, I don't buy fur anymore either. So.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Never bought fur.
We had to really convince him to stop buying fur. It was an awkward conversation.
Yeah. It looked really weird in fur, I have to say.
So no leather either? No fur?
Generally, vegans do not wear any animal products. I will say that I did keep a lot of my leather jackets from before. And I'll still use them because I feel like the animal has already died. Yeah. So
it's not like you're going to glue it back on.
Right. So I don't buy it anymore, but yeah, I still have a couple things.
And what's a big misconception other than the protein thing? Because
that's the number one.
Yeah, that's the number one. What's a big misconception of vegans?
Well, I don't know if I'd call this a misconception because it's kind of true, but a stereotype is that super blue, super anti-gun, and it's really funny because there's this confusion there when we talk about factory farms that are highly government subsidized, and along with the pharmaceutical industries that go, a lot of the antibiotics, I think it's 80% goes into factory farming because of how close the animals are together. They need to have all these antibiotics to keep them from getting sick. And all these vegans are like, oh, F the government, they're a part of this thing. And then you talk about the Constitution and they're like, oh, and it's a totally different story. And you're like, wait, what?
So the views they have, the anti kind of authoritarian views they have on that support their vegan habit.
Right. Beliefs.
Beliefs. That doesn't translate to guns. Why do you think that is?
I think a lot of people in general, but especially like the vegan side coming from the loving, compassionate side, still has it in their mind that gun equals violence. That there's not this separation of it can also mean or should only mean really protection, right? Yeah. And I think that's the association that keeps being made.
And who reaches out to a vegan from the gun community?
I do.
Right.
Well, I know.
This guy.
No.
Mike Schwartz.
But you know what I'm saying? Generally speaking, you're kind of like a pastor of a church.
I know.
I'm not going to go to you and say, hey, you want to go shooting this Saturday? Because, she's a pastor, so she's not going to. We preconceive
exactly
what you're going to like and what you're not going to like.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that's another important. I think something I've learned, something I've kind of picked up on, is it seems like vegetarians. There's a difference between being vegetarian and being vegan, right?
Yeah.
And it seems like vegetarians. It's more people that are vegetarians, they do it from it's healthier angle. Where vegans, it's more of it's a morality thing.
I would say you could assume that. Obviously, everybody's got their own story. But, I think a lot of vegetarians, I have a coworker that's vegetarian, and she's like, well, I did it because I wanted to lose weight. And then I started learning a little bit about the animal side. I'm like, but don't you realize that dairy is one of the most inflammatory things? And being vegetarian just means you don't eat meat. So they actually tend to eat more dairy products because they're almost like replacing it with the meat. And so it's like, well, wait, are we really doing anything good? So it's interesting on the health standpoint too.
It's kind of fun to make fun of vegans, right? It's kind of fun. Like what are your
No,
it gets old though, doesn't it?
It's just like we were talking about the protein thing. It's like I hear that all the time. Like even at work, sometimes people they'll ask me questions about like, I do bodybuilding competitions, as you know, and say, oh, well, where do you get your protein? And I'm like, the easiest way for me to explain this is that when you look at some of the strongest land animals, you're looking at gorillas or rhinos or elephants, like they're primarily getting their food as plants, in the form of plants, right? Like they might eat a couple bugs here and there, but they're not hunting down lions or
Well, make that statement you made off air about how many animals we eat.
Right, compared to what's available. So this is another thing we were talking about, is that when people say, what do you eat? And I'm like, okay, in America, we're in a developed country. Most people eat at most 5 different kind of animals, right? Like pigs, chickens, cows, maybe turkey. There's a couple in there. Duck, maybe snake, like depending on where you're at, right? And then you look at how many edible plants there are, and I want to say there's something like 500,000. Like there's like some huge number. Now, granted, not all of them are available to every region, of course, but like it's such a diverse, population that it's like I think people just get very stuck in their ways, and so. And me included, right? And so you have to kind of relearn. Like you're not just like going to throw some chicken on the grill and then put some broccoli next to it. Now we got to figure out something a little bit bigger. So
and a lot of people don't know from a vegetable side what you can eat and what you can't eat. You can eat a chicken. You can eat a pig. You can eat a cow.
That's a valid point.
But they don't know, like when you go to the grocery store and you look at all the vegetables. I guarantee
you can eat all those.
Yeah, but the majority of the people...
all those in the grocery store you can eat, Dave.
But you know what? The majority of the people go, they get broccoli, they get asparagus, they get lettuce, a carrot, a cucumber, and they're done.
Well, what's interesting,
no kale, no rutabagas, none of the above, because they don't know.
Well, it's interesting you're saying that, too, because when we talk about this, we think about, like, the chain-type supermarkets, right? They have the weirdest thing they may have is a turnip or a rutabaga, right? But
Whole Foods.
Right. My last job I worked at was actually a produce distributor, and we brought in produce from everywhere. And so we saw some crazy stuff from, like, Thailand or, jackfruit and stuff like that. And people are like, what the heck is this? And I'm like, I want to try it.
One of my first jobs is when I was a kid, because I didn't have a lot of money and no food, so I worked at Safeway.
Yeah.
And I used to love when we get the vegetables in and the fruits. If I didn't know what it was, you got it for free. Because we didn't have a computer that told us what it was. I'd pick up this thing. I go, what the heck is that? And you know what? It's on me. And I'd give it to you because I didn't know what it was. But I never thought far enough out to find out more about it to see if I'd eat it.
Well, you know what's interesting too is when we talk about like this obsession in America with protein. Like everybody's like, "Oh, you need protein to get strong." That's not false, but with the amounts that we're consuming as a whole, like we can't even process that much. And what people are not focusing on, number one, is fiber. Everybody's got stool problems these days, gut issues. Nobody's eating enough fiber. And what about the micronutrients? Like all of those are found in plants. Well, most of them.
Right. But then you can eat too much fiber.
This is true, but like you'd have to kind of try.
I had,
like,
you know,
people are constantly telling me that I'm full of, so that probably need to.
Right. Well, you know the powders, the protein powders.
Yeah.
I had a buddy of mine. He's on TV, Muscle Man of Technology. Had to go in for triple bypass. He's built like a rock, 60 years old, but he was all clogged up because that's all he ate. Because he thought that's what would put the muscle mass on that 60-year-old chassis. American Shooters is the newest gun shop in the San Diego and Gun Owners Radio newest show sponsor. If you're looking for a great gun shop for any of your firearm needs, go visit American Shooters. Tell Ernie you heard about them on Gun Owners Radio. They have a great selection of new and used and consigned firearms. Visit American Shooters at 1464 Graves Avenue, right off the Bradley exit in El Cajon.
All right, we're talking to pro Second Amendment and pro vegan Danielle, and I'm trying to influence her to start spelling it VEGUN.
Vegan.
Oh my goodness, that's right. That just happened. We actually started an Instagram. What's it called? Like vegan lovers, or vegan lovers, something like that.
I thought it was pretty funny. I'm going to be the only one on there. Will you?
So we just talked a lot about. We just talked more about veganism than this show has ever talked about.
Right.
So our listeners probably know more about, have heard more about vegan stuff in the last segment than they've ever heard in their whole life, which is awesome. I got to tell you, you've been taking me to vegan restaurants. They're delicious. I love food in general. Vegan food, if it tastes good, I don't care. It's good. It's delicious. But let's talk about the Second Amendment part.
Yeah.
What makes you pro-gun? Why are guns important?
Wait a minute. Did you take her to Denny's?
For the spaghetti?
Did you take her to Denny's? Because that's vegan.
No, I don't know if the spaghetti's not vegan.
Trust me, it's vegan.
Yeah, it's not real meat.
It's not real meat.
Meatball. It's quote unquote meatballs.
Okay, so what was that for? Why am I pro?
Yeah, talk about why is the Second Amendment important?
It's interesting because, like I mentioned, I grew up in the middle of the desert, so we just grew up. Like I remember my dad had a Mossberg, and like we would just there was no like laws out there. Like I mean there were, but we didn't follow them. We just go in the middle of nowhere and just set up some targets, and so I just kind of grew up around him. Like my dad wasn't like a crazy gun fanatic, but I was comfortable and. I also believe in this thing called the Constitution. And so it just kind of, I don't know, I feel like I got away from them for a little while. I lived in LA in my late teens and early 20s, and ex-boyfriend was a cop, so we would go to the range sometimes together. And then it just kind of, I don't know, they went away for a while just because it wasn't like a huge part of my life, but I always felt that, like, I've never been anti-gun, Yeah. And then I guess since I've been in San Diego, and even more so since you and I have been talking, I've just really kind of been diving more into it, and I don't know.
Well, but I mean, and the point I really want to get at, you're not, there are people that are pro-Second Amendment, but you're not one of those people.
No.
You're very, I mean, you and your husband, Derek, you guys shoot, you guys have rifles and pistols, and I mean, you're legit like, hey man, we need to carry, we need to own, it's important. You've gone to some Not Me events.
Yeah, I went with Desi, a little shout out, and she invited me to help be one of the instructors there with Wendy, and that was really fun. It was really cool. I was a little nervous at first. I was like, I don't know if I'm at the level of instructor, but then when I started realizing that some of the women that were coming in literally like first or second time hands on firearms, so I knew a little more than that, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah, sometimes you kind of forget like how much you know. You're so comfortable around guns. You grew up around guns. You kind of forget like, oh, I know a lot more than I even realized.
Right, and I think that applies to anything. It's like I remember hearing something before that you just got to know one thing more than the last guy, right? Like in order to help someone out. So
make an expert. So and I think it's really really interesting. This one part learning about vegan culture. I guess is that that's a way of putting it, right?
Sure.
Vegan culture. And I see this not just with vegans, but with a lot of different subgroups or whatever, like the LGBT community. When we do outreach to them, other groups where there's an inconsistency. Like you said, like vegans are like way I don't want to say anti-government, but anti-authority. Hey, stay out of my life. I should be able to do this, blah blah blah. But then it just stops with guns. Like they don't take that philosophy and it doesn't match over for whatever reason.
I think a lot of them, and I think the ones that do believe the same way I do don't speak up because we've been so ostracized by the rest of the community. Like I remember I just posted, last week or something, a Let's Go Brandon shirt, and it was kind of a joke. Like it was like, whatever. And after I posted it, like I lost like 300 followers, I think, and got some pretty hateful DMs about it. And I was like, okay, if you guys know me at all, like I'm so sarcastic, and I don't really take offense to things.
That was your mistake because there's no sense of humor on that side.
You didn't need those 300.
I did, right.
Think of it
That's
that
what he was
way.
saying.
Which is my opinion.
Yeah.
But
I'm like, well.
The interesting thing, because I remember seeing that conversation, I remember kind of watching it happen. The interesting thing is, you're not a Trump fan,
well,
right?
And that's what I even posted on there. I was like, there is a such thing as being in the middle, or kind of that libertarian almost sort of view that's like, I believe in the Constitution, and maybe there's some things on the Democratic side that I believe in, but I'm not like this crazy Trump supporter. Like that's what a lot of people started accusing me, and then of course,
this president is not doing a good job,
right? Like
in discussion,
and that's how I feel. I'm like, don't the Democrats even understand this?
Yeah, I really, really disdain this. Like they draw this line in the sand, and you're either on one side or the other.
Yeah,
I don't got to pick one side of your line.
Black or white.
Yeah,
you must pick
choose
now.
or no choose. Yeah, I mean,
and that's what happened. You're not a big Trump fan. You're obviously not a Biden fan.
Right.
The other funny thing is you had a lot of vegans attacking you, like, oh, Trump's a horrible person. He eats meat, whatever. What about Biden?
Okay, that's what was so funny. So somebody actually attacked me. The shirts were made by JP Sears, who I think is hilarious.
I own JP Sears shirts.
Yeah, he's great. So. Yeah. I actually ran into him in Arizona a couple years ago. But anyway, so somebody had commented on there, I can't believe you're buying a shirt from JP Sears. He's not vegan. And I'm like, wait, so those Nikes that the children made out in China, that's vegan? Like, seriously?
Well, but Biden is... Biden's not a vegan, and he's not exactly, hasn't been, vegan friendly.
Yeah,
right.
But Trump eats McDonald's. And we don't know what that is.
It's one of the reasons I love him. That's one of the reasons I love him. When he was eating, you got a billionaire in the White House eating a Big Mac. Now, I don't
with a knife and a fork.
Oh my God!
Well, because he doesn't want to get.
How long have I wanted a president that would just eat a Big Mac?
They probably do a lot. You just don't catch them.
I was going to say Clinton probably had his fair share.
Who was it that used to eat Jelly Bellies? Was that Reagan?
That's Carter had the jelly beans, right?
Yeah.
Right?
No, that was Reagan.
No,
that was Reagan.
That was Reagan.
I get those two confused a lot.
Yeah, I know you do. Yeah. Well,
you just lost 300.
Yeah. Didn't need them. Didn't want them. But no, I mean, it's so funny how people throw you into a box.
I know.
Automatically. I mean, the Go Brandon thing. Hello.
I thought it was funny.
Maybe she's just a NASCAR fan.
That's what they posted.
They took it off the guy. The kid can't put anything on his car. He can't even put his name. He can put his first name, but he can't put Brandon.
It's so crazy.
One of the trainers at the gym I go to, his name's Brandon. I like that. Hey, come on, let's go, Brandon.
Well,
so
what do you want to bet that'll be the number one name not used
Brandon.
In 2022
completely
for
gone.
babies? No baby's going to be born, Brandon.
So have you found other? Because you and I were eating at what's the name of the place down in Ocean Beach?
Peace Pies. Yeah, shout out. They're amazing.
So you and I were eating there, and two of the cooks in the remember?
Oh, that's right. I totally forgot. We actually met some other gun enthusiasts at a raw vegan restaurant, not just a vegan restaurant, but
and they weren't just visiting. They weren't like I was just a tourist.
Yeah,
I'm hardly a vegan.
How could you be considered a tourist?
A vegan tourist.
In a vegan.
I almost want to go with you just to see the reaction.
Of eating vegan food?
Of you walking in and people thinking you're a vegan.
I don't think anybody thought he was vegan.
No, you don't think?
I was like his trainer. So here, let's try this.
Yeah, here.
I'm just kidding.
I love you to death, but you're a little on the larger side. You just don't look like a vegan.
What are you trying to say?
You're
what
fat.
does a vegan look like?
I got to tell you, I know.
How much have you lost now?
I was going to say, lost like 100 pounds.
Oh, I did, but I've known a couple of vegans that were way overweight, and I'm like, why would you? That's like the worst of.
How could that be?
That's like the worst of
Oreos are
both.
vegan.
Yeah,
They're not honest vegans.
sugar is vegan.
Yeah, sugar and French fries are vegan. So.
Okay, so
well, there it is.
so we were in this vegan restaurant, and two of the workers there started talking about guns. Started talking about how, like, one of them had just picked up a gun, whatever, blah blah blah. Went and gave them my card,
And they fainted.
and no, they were like, "Oh yeah, we've heard of you guys, whatever, blah blah blah." So my question is, I'm sure we've identified there is a strong anti-gun following in the vegan community, but there's got to be. Have you found any? Are there pro?
Do they exist?
Yeah.
I do have a friend, one of my girlfriends. I have one. Just one.
Costs a lot of money.
Two. Yeah. I pay her weekly. No, I have two girlfriends who are both vegan and both. I would say they're pro Second Amendment, but haven't quite dove into like the whole gun world yet. Like they're open to shooting, and one of them went with me and Desi from Not Me to Poway Weapons and Gear. And she teaches mixed martial arts. And so she's already kind of in that, like...
She doesn't need a gun.
Right. Her body is a weapon.
Yeah. The other world that you're in is the fitness world.
Yeah, so guns are common there.
They're really pro-gun, right?
Usually, so it depends. Are you talking like... If you're talking like the bodybuilders, like the Metroflex, sort of the gym sort of crowd that's like all bodybuilders, they tend to be like pro-pitbull and pro-guns.
Right.
Like,
Pro-pitbull.
There's pitbulls everywhere. But then if you go to like the 24-hour fitnesses or chooses or,
Isn't
what
that
it is.
funny that the pit bull is the dog of choice?
It's so funny. Maybe a Doberman sometimes, but it's usually
Or a Rottie,
the pitbull.
maybe
Yeah.
a Rottie.
Right.
My wife raises them, and we sell. Wouldn't believe how many Rotties we sell to bodybuilders.
Yeah. Well, they say that your dog or your animal
Is you.
tends to resemble you, right? I used to have a
that's
little
great.
French bulldog.
That's great. Yeah, I own pugs.
He has pugs.
So what's that tell you?
Yeah, see that? Confirmation of what
That's
you said.
nothing. He owns a cat. So I mean,
So do I.
So what do you want gun owners to know about vegans? Well, if the
it tastes
typical gun
good.
owner.
Try it.
We're not all bad. No.
Try it. Just try it.
Honestly, that's the thing. Like when people talk about, like even you, Michael, when we were having conversations, I know a lot of times it would go around this vegan food is like a
Right.
phrase that people use. And I'm like, let's get away from that because all food that is not an animal or that comes from an animal is just inherently vegan, right? So like a lot of stuff that people eat is already that way. And I would say, yeah, like experimenting with things. And just because you go to one vegan restaurant, you try one meal and you're like, oh my God, that was terrible. Doesn't mean it all is. You know what I mean?
I
Don't
haven't
just throw in the
I haven't had a
towel.
terrible vegan meal yet. To be honest with you, it's all been really delicious. What I've found is
Have
what
you
I've
ever had a
what I've-
bad meal?
Oh
Right.
yeah. What I've had to do though is I've had to like stop. If they're like, hey, these are vegan nachos or whatever. I've had to stop. Like, okay, don't compare it to actual nachos.
Right.
Just enjoy it for what it is, and
Yeah.
then it's good
Yeah.
to go.
I like that. And like another thing I would say too is don't go to a big chain restaurant, like a non-vegan restaurant, and try the one vegan dish they have. Go to a vegan restaurant.
And don't you like Impossible Burgers?
Not on the fitness side.
I gotta
right?
tell you, you know what? I take it back. That's the one I had. The Whopper. It was all chemically. It was
Yeah.
horrible.
I don't recommend that.
Yeah. My wife's on that verge. I think she's had 5, and she's found one restaurant that she likes. All the rest of them, she hates them. She can't stand them.
VeganInSanDiego.com. There's a whole list on there.
Ah,
They're pretty
there
awesome.
you
Little
go.
shout out for them too.
Yeah.
Did you hear that? Write that down.
VEGUN.
There you go. All right, folks. Welcome to the Vegan Hour. Oh, I'm sorry. Gun Owners Radio, FM 96.1, AM 11. I've already lost 2 pounds. AM 1170.
The answer.
I know. We got to have her on more often.
All right.
I've lost 2 pounds already. I
Well,
can
Just
tell.
in my presence.
Just in your presence. I know. Hey.
Shave your beard. You'll lose another 2.
No. I'm boycotting.
Give up that Alec Baldwin look.
Yeah, well, I figure, hey, if Alec can do it, I can do it. Hey, we are proud to partner with the National Concealed Carry Association as a 10-ring partner. NCCA exists to serve the Second Amendment community by providing a nationwide network of 2A advocates, offer elite self-training, concealed carry training from the nation's top instructors, and provide rock-bottom prices on the best selection of gear and accessories. Join them today. Members get great prices and free shipping. You can learn a whole lot more just by going to National Concealed Carry Association.com.
Okay, it is an election year, and we have a pretty big election here in San Diego. The sheriff is not running, so we're going to have a new sheriff no matter what come November. So we have a candidate here, Mr. John Hemmerling. How you doing, John?
I'm good. How are you doing tonight?
Doing well. Okay, so you're running for sheriff. What do you do currently?
I'm currently the chief prosecutor in the city of San Diego and in our city attorney's office there.
Okay, and you're what was the catalyst? What made you run for sheriff?
Let's see why I'm running. It's a really good question. And first off, I want to thank you for allowing me to come on the show and speak tonight. The sheriff's race in 2022. It's about public safety. It's ensuring that we're electing the person who cares about the community we live in, who cares about supporting victims' rights instead of the criminals. Someone who will push back on with everything that I have against defunding the police. The sheriff is everywhere in our lives. They run large patrol in large portions of the county. They run every jail. They're in every courthouse, every court building. They serve process. They serve restraining orders. They do evictions.
But why you? Like, why did you step up to run?
Well, I think it's important. Like I said, I think it's important that we finally get a chance and an opportunity for input. Who wants to be sheriff? I mean, it's been 30 plus years since we've had a non-incumbent election, and I think that there's an opportunity for change. I mean, I bring that change, whether it's leading prosecutions in my office, my experience working as a beat cop, or the leadership that I bring as a retired Marine colonel. I'm well suited for this. And then, as you said, the current sheriff, he's not running, he's retiring. It leaves an open seat.
So
and
so it's
to be the right person.
Obviously, we're a gun show, San Diego County Gun Owners. We're a gun organization, Second Amendment organization. What makes you pro 2A?
Well, I think that's another good question. I'm very familiar with and comfortable with firearms. I spent my whole life around them. And it's not only being a kid growing up in the Midwest around them, but my father was a retired cop after 25 years in Kansas City, and I spent 30 years in the Marine Corps around this. So, I'm a strong supporter of the Second Amendment. And
in what way are you a supporter of the Second Amendment? Like, what have you actually done to support the Second Amendment? Like, what does that mean? Hillary Clinton says she's a supporter of the Second Amendment. Nathan Fletcher was a Marine, and he says he's a supporter of the Second Amendment. What have you actually done? What can people sink their teeth into?
Well, like I said, I think it goes back to my whole life history, things that I've done. You're right. Nathan Fletcher was a Marine, but he wasn't a retired Marine after 30 years. He didn't work as a beat cop. So I know the importance, of having a strong amendment. The best way to protect the Second Amendment, is to ensure that we can enforce the laws that are on the books instead of putting more laws on the books.
So I think that's a good point. And I think that's a strong point. In my understanding, when I was doing my research, is that part of what you do in the city attorney's office, the city attorney who you work for is extremely anti-Second Amendment. I don't mean kinda. Like, she shows up at anti-gun rallies and is the key speaker, but that's not you. You work for her, so I'm not going to put all of her faults at your feet. But one of the things that she's done and is known for is the gun violence restraining orders. Where do you stand on gun violence restraining orders?
Well, I think that it's a good question. And I don't know if because I don't want to speak for her and say that there's some kind of strong anti Second Amendment feelings that she may or may not have, because I'm not in her head. But I think that like has been said in a lot of places, that there's no unlimited right to the Second Amendment. I mean,
here we go.
Plenty of laws out there.
Here we go. That didn't take long. My specific question is, what do you think about gun violence restraining orders? You personally?
I think gun violence restraining orders serve a good tool in the community.
Yeah, that's what I've heard about you. Listen, man, in no universe are you pro Second Amendment. Not only do you support gun violence restraining orders, but you actually help implement them in other jurisdictions, right?
Yeah, our office received a grant from the state to help train law enforcement on how to do gun violence restraining orders.
And you help do that, right? That's a part of your job and what you've done.
Yeah, I definitely have, yeah.
I got to tell you, those gun violence restraining orders are as big a violation of people's Second Amendment rights as I can possibly think of. You're taking guns away from somebody that haven't been convicted of a crime. And not only that, but your office, I had a lady call up and say, hey, I was a victim of one of these gun violence restraining orders. She was going through a bad divorce. Mm-hmm. Her husband said, hey, she threatened me with a gun. You guys went and arrested her, put her in jail. She had to go in front of a judge. And the husband came and said, you know what? She didn't actually threaten me with a gun. I was in it was high emotions. We're going through a divorce. I was mad. We're both mad. I'm so sorry. And the person who was, if at your office, at the city attorney's office, said if he retracts his statement, she will prosecute him for filing a false police report. And they had to continue going through the process. And this lady was terrified. Terrified.
Yeah,
you guys are predators down there. And I don't say that lightly.
Well, I think, like I said, I think that, I don't think anybody can argue that it's not proper. If you have someone who's a criminal, they probably shouldn't be having guns. I mean, there's a whole statutes on armed.
But that's got nothing to do with gun violence restraining orders. That's got nothing to do with gun violence restraining orders. You don't go after criminals because a criminal is someone that's been prosecuted. You go after people that haven't been prosecuted and you take their guns away.
Well, what about individuals that are, get arrested, for example, right? And they've committed, they committed a crime. They get booked into jail. And they're, that doesn't mean that they haven't committed the crime.
So is the implication that you can't take? Wait a minute. Are you implying that you can't take if you arrest somebody? Maybe they're doing something violent. Are you implying that law enforcement, without gun violence restraining orders, law enforcement can't take their guns away? Is that what you're saying?
Oh no, definitely law enforcement can take their guns away. But
well, then why did you bring that example up? We're talking about gun violence restraining orders.
Well, because I'm saying if somebody did something violent, the police encounter them, they take their guns, they book them into jail. They could go out and they could still buy guns.
Well,
right?
John, let's go back to the last example. The fact that the husband accused the wife of doing something, you guys arrested her, pulled her guns away. I mean, without any proof other than the husband saying that she did this. So, I mean, I think that's the point we're talking about. It's not somebody breaking the law. That'd be no different if I said to a police officer that you ran over my cat and I seen you do it and it was on purpose, so they automatically arrest you.
Yeah. Well, I would say that in that situation, what you talked about sounds like domestic violence. I mean, people go get domestic violence restraining orders all the time, and where there's no intervention by government at all, and they make up stories, and the judge issues those anyway. So there is no really ability for somebody that's rational in that to weigh in and say, no, I don't think that's right. Because sometimes maybe it's true, sometimes maybe it's not. That's why you have to have the process go out, and the person in the prison says, hey, that's all a lie, and maybe it's a he said, she said, and there's no proof. But at least on the other side, if I use my example on gun violence restraining order, someone gets a chance to say, no, your story doesn't. We don't have any corroboration, so we're not going to do that.
They're benevolent, so you're giving them the opportunity to make the case in front of a judge. Wow, that's great, John. That's total BS, man. These gun violence restraining orders are extreme. They're an extreme example of the abuse of power, and this is what happens when you get the wrong people in office. There's no case to be made that these are good for gun owners. There's no case to be made that we have this thing in the country called the legal system, and it's made up of courts, and you get to go. There's no case. I kind of like it, by the way. I kind of like our legal system. Yeah. And this totally goes around.
And I do too.
Well, then how can you make the case that a gun violence restraining order is constitutional and good for gun owners? How can you make that case?
Well, Michael, you've already you mentioned it earlier about police. I mean, we have all kinds of things where people get their guns taken away all the time without gun violence restraining order. Let's just go to people getting arrested, people getting any restraining order against them. I mean, there's a reason why the legislature in Sacramento keeps passing laws in California to make it harder and harder for you to own a gun, for you to buy a gun, for you to do anything with it, because they think they can take the stopgap into their own hands.
Hey, Joe, are you buying this?
The police.
Joe's across the room, and we're all laughing at you.
Well, no,
John, this is ridiculous, man. There's no case to be made.
Joe's going to say
sorry,
something.
Joe.
Go ahead,
No, go ahead, Michael.
There's no case to be made. What you just said was that gun owners should embrace these gun violence restraining orders, because if we don't, they're going to make even more horrible gun laws. I'm not buying that, man.
They are making more horrible gun laws.
Yeah, with or without gun violence restraining order. You know what a horrible gun law is? Gun violence restraining orders. There's no defense to be made for this, and you're running against two people who they're stronger than you are on CCWs. So why would we vote for you Why would we vote for you if they're? What are you going to do as sheriff? Are you going to?
Why would you think they're stronger than me on CCW? I support CCW.
Here's why they're stronger than you on CCWs, because one of them is actually the current undersheriff, and she's actually improved the CCW process. When I call, she picks up the phone. When I email her, she answers me. She's actually done things to support our right to carry, which I asked you at the beginning of the interview. You haven't really. The only thing you've done is spread and do more with gun violence restraining orders. She's not implementing gun violence restraining orders. She's not expanding gun violence restraining orders. As sheriff, is that what you're going to do? Are you going to expand this system because it's good for gun owners?
The sheriff's department does do gun restraining orders, because I know for a fact, because we've done stuff with them where they've done it. So they do, and I believe the sheriff still has good cause provisions on CCW in their policies. I mean, had to be a lawsuit on that, several years ago. Well, it's state law, but also it may not be going forward.
I got to tell you, thanks for the interview, John. If there is no case to be made that a pro-gun owner in any situation should vote for John for sheriff, I bet the Republicans are going to endorse this guy, and it's like a cancer in their party, man. You elect these rhinos. You don't care about the Second Amendment. You pay it lip service. Somebody shows up and says, "Hey, I was a Marine," and boom, you think he's pro-Second Amendment. Meanwhile, he's expanding gun violence restraining orders. No way should you vote for this guy. Don't give him $1. Completely reject his campaign.
All right, folks, welcome to Gun Owners Radio, FM 96.1 AM 1170.
The answer.
Failed. See, you got to quit
paper.
eating carrots.
God, I'm so sorry.
Start going back to asparagus. Hey, clean, lube, and protect your gun faster and easier with Seal One. Seal One CLP Plus is an also natural, non-toxic, environmentally vegan friendly. And are you tired of smelling like a gas station after cleaning your gun? Well, try Seal One. Ask for it by name at your local gun shop. Clean your guns faster and better with Seal One. Hey, by the way, once the show's over, stay with Bob Siegel. He's got a gun show that he's going to do, and you're going to love the story, so don't touch that dial.
Bob's the best. He is. We just told us what's coming up. So all you gun folks, don't turn off the show. Listen to Bob Siegel. He's absolutely wonderful. Okay, now it's time for everybody's favorite segment, Stump My Nephew. Sam, you there? Sam?
Yeah, how are you guys?
Hey, man. Good. How you doing?
Pretty good.
Good. You're a vegan, aren't you, Sam?
No, I'm not.
You're not a vegan? All right. Okay, so
inside joke.
Every week we do our segment called Stump My Nephew. Sam is my nephew. I'm very proud of him. He's an awesome guy.
You bumped him the last couple. Thank you very much.
I know we had a bump. We had a really, really cool guest. So it's first week back. So you got to come on strong, Sam. This is it, man. If you send in a gun question and we use it on the air, you'll get a hat or shirt. If you stump my nephew, which is extremely difficult,
you'll get a hat or a shirt.
You'll get a hat or shirt, and you'll get a Front Sight membership, which is a lifetime of shooting, which Danielle is familiar with. Right?
And tonight only, you'll get a carrot.
You get a carrot.
One carrot.
One carrot.
Not two.
Signed by Vegan Danielle.
Yeah, and then it'll die.
That's why I said asparagus.
That dies too.
All right. So have you ever been asked a question by a vegan before, Sam?
He's never actually met a vegan.
Probably. I don't know how to answer that.
I was going to say, do we introduce ourselves?
Yeah.
We're, hi, I'm vegan.
Yeah, that wasn't part of the question. You'll be safe.
All right. Go ahead.
All right. What is...
Wait. You got Elliot from...
Oh, Elliot from Otay Mesa. Otay? I don't know how to say that. Otay Mesa. What is the world's smallest gun?
Elliot from some made-up place. What is the world's smallest gun? Thanks very much for writing in, Elliot. Now, to my knowledge, the smallest functioning firearm ever made was the Calibri pistol, which dates back to the early part of the last century and was chambered for a proprietary 2.7 millimeter round. It was a semi-automatic pistol, not very powerful, very difficult to use, made by a Swiss watchmaker, and kind of relegated to the dustbin of history.
I think so. What is it? What do you call it?
Calibri. It means hummingbird, I believe.
It's not in there.
It's not in there. Okay.
But it's a Swiss watchmaker.
Is there another name for it? Because I think you got it, but they're calling it something different.
What are they calling it?
They're calling it the okay. So at 2 inches, long and weighing under an ounce, the Swiss minigun CIST is a highly sought after collector's item. Making the parts and assembling the gun requires the skill of a master craftsman, all of which are trained at jewelry and Swiss watchmaking. Thus, only about 100 are made each year, with each order customized. I don't think it's the same. I don't think that's the same.
So this is a new production firearm.
It's a new production firearm.
I was going to say, I do see one here where he literally said it word for word, that the German word for hummingbird, the colibri, is the world's smallest gun, too.
So your guy...
No, but you know what? I say we give him it, honestly. Because
Elliot No-Tie doesn't know.
Yeah, I got to tell you, the amazing thing is the guy. Sam's got a dissertation. He had an answer that was fairly accurate. We don't know if. Yeah, the other thing is what do they mean by small? Are they talking?
Yeah, because I'm reading this one right now too.
0.7 ounces.
The colibri. Yeah, but are they doing size or ounces or how many rounds it can hold?
But here's the thing.
I was told it's not the size that counts.
But this is a gun that's still being made. See, this is a gun that's still being made.
But is it small by weight? Is it small by barrel length? Is it small?
But see, Sam answered historically the smallest gun, and that was back with that little hummingbird gun.
I think Sam's was smaller than 5.5 centimeters too. I think. Well, how long was yours, Sam?
Yeah. How long's your yeah.
I don't feel comfortable answering that on the air.
Well, this is 5.5 centimeters long, weighing under 0.7 ounces.
Well, does someone have a computer there that they can look up the colibri on?
Yeah, that's what Brandon said. Yeah. That's why he said you didn't lose. You won this one.
Yeah, I think you did. I think you outsmarted the question.
Yeah, I think so.
Or the asker. Let me read it just a little bit more while we're looking that up. About 100 are handmade. This is the gun that they say, the Swiss minigun. About 100 are handmade each year, with each order customized to the client's specifications, including the option for a special model made of 18-karat gold, which is the one I would definitely buy. Adding the double action 0.09 caliber 6-shooter to your collection will run you at least $6,705.
And he's got 5 of them in his shop.
I think that the one that you just talked about, the little hummingbird, is actually smaller. Is that it?
Yeah,
is that the hummingbird, or is that
yeah. So they originally designed it as a ladies' self-defense weapon that was small enough to fit inside of a handbag, but it wasn't very effective against muggers because it wasn't doing a whole lot of damage.
It would just tickle them.
Yeah, and then it was discontinued in 1914. So I don't really
I think
know.
he technically won.
I'm going with Sam. Let's go with Sam.
Should we vote? Should we go around the...
well, here's another one. There's a third scale Colt 1855 root revolver, but it was personally made, and it wasn't really distributed.
Give him a clap and applause.
Okay, you got it.
Nice job, Sam.
Yeah, nice job, buddy.
Do I get a carrot?
Yes, you do.
I will give you one of mine. I can sacrifice a
She
carrot.
has 5 of them in her pocket.
Yeah, I carry them everywhere.
Just carries carrots all over.
Do you have a CCW for that?
I was going to say, do you have a CCW for that?
I do.
Okay,
it's a CCC, actually.
If it's sharpened, then you got to get it.
Yeah.
You got to get it perfect.
I just bite on them,
Are carrots on the roster?
Yeah, are they not out?
In California.
No, not in California.
Off-roster carrot.
We have all off rosters out here, my friend.
Hey, man, so I was thinking of you this week. As you know, my buddy, my nephew, Sam, is Jewish. And we had a call. I actually went and I helped protect a synagogue on Tuesday night.
You did?
Which sounds like, it was, it sounds like, geez, is that overkill? But then what happens yesterday?
Yeah.
Did you guys see the news?
Yeah.
Didn't they say, some people did some things or something?
Some people did some things.
Yeah.
So, some truly horrible, dangerous person took over a synagogue.
So why did you go guard a synagogue and you didn't even know this was going to happen?
Well, how was I supposed to know it was going to happen? Right? So it was fairly interesting. One of the leaders in the synagogue, they trained with us for Guns and Moses, which we did this morning. It was really awesome. And they said, hey, look, we're doing this program, this kids program. We're doing this after school, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And we need security. We're looking for, anybody in the security. So I found some, but they needed someone that day. So I was like, all right, you know what? I can move some things around in my schedule and I'll be there, but I'm not really a security guard. Let's find you some really...
Yeah, but you look like one.
Right? And I stayed at a Holiday Inn Express last night.
I know.
So I'm clear. So
and you had Denny's spaghetti last
yeah,
night.
so me and another guy show up, and the first thing they showed me was a bullet hole from. This was the same synagogue.
Oh, the same synagogue.
And they said they patched everything else. They saved one as a reminder.
Sure.
It was very, very sobering.
I would too.
Very sobering. And I'm still, for a few days, I'm just thinking, gosh, I can't believe that this synagogue requires that level of security, and then this thing happens yesterday. I mean, this is very, very real. But anyway, I was thinking of you, Sam. Do you guys have a security detail at your synagogue?
We do not. The one that I typically go to is on a military base, so that doesn't really work.
Fairly secure.
You're okay.
I go to is Reform, and those of you who know what that is now understand why there's no one armed there except me.
Oh, because are they fairly anti? Are they progressive? And they don't like.
It's a different denomination. I'll leave it at that.
Okay.
No offense to those of you who are listening and who happen to be Reform, but Reform Jews tend to be less friendly toward that type of thing than, say, conservative or Orthodox.
Well, they can afford to be there on a military base, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Thanks, man. Appreciate it, Sam. Awesome job as always. Always learn something great from Sam. Thank you.
Well, thanks very much for having me on. It's always a fun time. And keep the questions coming, everyone.
All right,
You
brother.
got it, buddy.
The carrot's in the mail.
You got it.
Okay, so we've had a really, really fun show.
Is the kid amazing? Let's just throw an attaboy. I mean, she hasn't heard 90% of the questions that this guy gets. I mean, we literally sit there with our jaw on our table because if you didn't know better, you'd think he sent him the answer.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. Are you cheating?
No, not cheating. I swear. I try to stump him. So I got to say something before we leave. It's very, very unfortunate. We went to the grand opening of American Shooters on yesterday, and it was really, really great. But a lot of people don't know that that's actually owned by Mark Halcon. Mark Halcon is an institution when it comes to gun ownership.
Had him in here as a guest.
Yep, he was just here a month ago, and he's a good friend of mine, was a good friend of mine. He passed away on Friday night. Great guy. Without him, San Diego County gun owners truly wouldn't exist.
No. Yeah.
And he was a character. He was one of those kind of grumpy old guys that was real gruff and maybe said some things that he probably should have filtered, but he was always supportive of me.
Yeah. But he's out doing better things. But our hearts and prayers go to him and his family. You still going to hold the meeting on Tuesday?
Yes.
Okay. We're all going to be there. If you want to come down, it's right off of Highway 67 in Bradley, right next to the Greek chicken place. Just look for all the cars.
You will be missed, Mark.
You will be missed, truly. All right, folks. Hey, subscribe to our show on YouTube. And when you watch a video, make sure you hit the thumbs up button, which I didn't know was there. Please support our great sponsors, San Diego County Gun Owners, U.S. Law Shield, Dillon Law Group, PRMI Mortgage, Scott Vincent at Coldwell Banker Royal Realty, Sage Street Web Development, National Concealed Carry Association, Seal One, the American Shooters, and El Cajon. Thanks to Joe Germisi, Michael Schwartz, VEGUN Danielle, Sam the Gunman, and our infamous board pusher, Brendan Thomas. Right here on FM 96.1 AM 1170.
Ian.